Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/Scott P. Gallagher.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing our weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, May 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And this week, we've got a few different things to cover, but I've got a surprise for you. It's an unannounced surprise. And I have to admit, I was kind of laughing a little bit starting this podcast here because I had a friend that stopped into my office today. A great friend. We've been friends for probably approaching 10 years now. Maybe not quite, probably 8 years. And I haven't seen him for quite some time. And he walks in his suit and, I'm just wearing my drab clothes. And we just started, chewing the fat a little bit about what's going on. And I said, hey, man, I got my call in 10 minutes. I need a guest. You want to come and join me? So I've got Nick Matthews here with me. And we're going to be talking about, I'm going to go over, just quickly hit some of the, some of the update items. But the topic for today that I really wanted to focus in on, and I'm going to talk a little bit later, is about, it's in your list. And it all comes down to your list. And I thought that, hey, that's an actually really good theme with Nick here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Nick. And if you know anything about me, you'll know why I've got a tremendous amount of respect for this man. And Nick is probably, how old are you? What is your age, Rick?
27.
Okay, so more than 10 years younger than me. He's 12 years younger than me. And I met Nick when I moved to the United States, and he was my neighbor. And what I liked about him was his sales ability. Now, you know me in sales. I've got quite a bit of training content for sales. I've taught a lot of different business-to-business sales. I've been trained by some major corporations, been through some very executive level training and achieved quite a few levels of success. But this man, when I met him, sold vacuum cleaners door to door. He worked for Kirby. He's that door to door vacuum cleaner salesman, that typical stereotype. And, you say that, I got him beside me, and I am sure there's been people that have shut the door on him. There's people that are turned off by it. It's almost as, in some senses, that position is almost a sense, the negative connotation like a car salesman. It's kind of dirty. But the fact of the matter is behind that, sales is always the same elements. It doesn't matter if you're selling internet marketing services. That's for my students that are on the line right now. It doesn't matter if it's a chiropractor. We've got an attorney on the line. And actually, sorry, I don't know if he's on the line. New LMS student, that's an attorney that has been asking about the particular calls. But nonetheless, whether you're selling services as an attorney or you're a plumber, sales has got a lot of similar elements to it. So I realize I'm going on a long dissertation here and talking a little bit. I haven't even given the opportunity to say hello. Why don't you say hello?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Nick Matthews, literally just like Scott said, walked in his office about 10 minutes ago, and not sure what this call is going to be all about, but I'm glad I'm here, and hopefully can share some positive things with you. Right?
I love it. I'm having a ball here because, I've had different guests before and speaking and whatnot, and putting people, it's just, we don't have the camera live right now. Sometimes we do. I guess we could turn it on so people could see what you look like.
Alrighty.
But, I don't normally turn the camera on because, I'm not nicely dressed or anything. But there's Nick with our green screen. We don't have any editing. I guess we can do that. Sometimes we do have guests back here, and, we get to nicely edit stuff out. So I do apologize for the, we're going to turn this off here.
All right, see ya.
Going to apologize for the lack of formality with this, but I genuinely feel like that we're going to come up with some amazing nuggets. And when I say that Nick was selling door-to-door vacuum cleaners for Kirby, let's put it this way. I've seen Nick go on dozens and dozens and dozens of trips before because he's won. I've seen him win a $25,000 check I've seen him win a car, all because he is the top salesman. I've seen his picture on the cover of their magazine as the #1 sales rep in the entire country, the United States of America. This is the sales hub of the world. This is a company, Kirby, that has successfully built itself by selling direct manufacturer to consumer, by utilizing contractors in between. They don't have the marketing expenses of every other company that's out there, and their profit margins are smaller than some of the plastic manufacturers out there. They've got a fantastic product that's built in the United States that lasts for a long time, and he's out there slinging this, or he was, for the last 5 years. On that, why don't you share a little bit about what you have been doing in the last 5 years? Because I think that the sales model of Kirby is phenomenal. And I want to talk a little bit about the actual processes of what you're teaching the people that we're about to share. So why don't you share what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the details of sales that you train these people.
Well, Scott, like you said, I started Kirby in November '06, so it's about 9 years now. And Kirby's actually just hit 100 years in business. No advertising done, TV, radio, nothing like that. So it's completely different than probably most of you guys would ever dream about doing. I mean, it's strictly word of mouth, door to door. The company I started working for, it was more of a referral based. Our distributor wasn't in and just packing us all in a van and knocking doors from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. So we approach a little differently. Get a prospect, ask them for referrals, and then get a sheet of 20 referrals, bring them back to the office, and then our lead department, they'd be scheduling these appointments. So my first couple years in Kirby, did a lot of just selling vacuums. Just wanted to be successful, think big, and you can really control your own money when you work for yourself in an aspect like that. So was one of the #1 guys in the area, as Scott says. Actually, the area is the world, and got a lot of recognition, and really helped me keep kind of going. So recognition, really kind of helped me. And I think that would help any sales organization. Is you got to have good vibes, teach your people fairly, and make them feel good, and that's what will keep them going. You get farther with sugar than you do with vinegar. So and after that, became an independent business owner with the Kirby company. Started buying Kirby's directly from the company, and started building my own company. I was 19 at that time and wasn't really into that, just the stress level. So ended up coming back, and then for the last 5 years, I've been a recruiter for Kirby. What I've been doing now is pretty much training people how to, take advantage of, making their own money and determining their future. Most jobs, hourly wage or even salary, you can work so hard and that's all the money you really get. So I just believe in kind of getting people to think of the bigger picture. Hey, what kind of life do you want to have? And just trying to really make a lot of money. I don't know, Scott.
Well, there's a few things that are really coming up from here that are really I'm excited by, Nick. And that, first off, when you talk about making a lot of money, there is a lot of opportunity to make money in selling vacuum cleaners. I mean, just by some of your friends and the homes you live in and your car and whatnot. But what I wanted to pull out of this is the fact that Nick now recruits. And there was one thing that he pulled out of there that they build their business on, and that he emphasizes the people that he teaches. That is something that I'm constantly saying too. And we know that there's 3 ways to build your business. There's obviously to get new customers, increase your customer spend, and increase your customer spend frequency. And the hardest is to get new customers. We know that. And we've got a lot of different ways that we go out and try to get new customers. One way that is often forgotten, I think back to my sales days, that people tend to forget very frequently, that I'm going to remind every single person on the line right now. Ask for referrals. That's specifically what he said. What's part of their process that they do is if they get a demo, and they'll go and vacuum and clean 1 or 2 rooms and show the power, literally show the product itself. The product does sell itself. Their hardest problem, and correct me if I'm wrong, is probably getting in the door.
Exactly.
And once you're in the door, your closing rates are probably, you probably know those numbers. And, I don't know, what are your closing rates once you're in the door?
Well,
Just
nationally, our closing averages are about 1 out of 3, but more with
30%.
our referral-based program, we actually have more of a 1 out of 2 selling ratio, because word of mouth, it's believable. It's social proof. When you have friends and family members and reliable sources recommending something for you, it's better than a wildfire. I mean, it's just flowing.
See, I knew gold was going to come from this right now. We're in two completely different business. You're in a manufacturer to consumer, business to consumer. I'm in a business to business. We're talking to people that are selling business to business, building their agencies, and other small business owners that are going to be selling to their audience. And our closing rates are about the same. If I get into 3 chiropractors and give them 3 proposals, I'll get a close out of that. It's about a 30% close rate and whatnot. And what you just said is your close rate goes from about 30% up to a 50% close rate. That's a 45-50% increase in closing rates. I know it's 20% across the board, but when you're looking at your 30%, you increase it to 50. That's a significant improvement. You're almost doubling your ability to close with people that have been referred to you than a new prospect that you've tried to get into the door.
Well, and one of the better points too about word of mouth is that it's actually a lot less expensive, because it costs money to put Super Bowl commercials on TV, or even TV commercials, period. That stuff's expensive. Or radio, internet,
So,
it obviously is too. But
what's your process to ask for a referral? Like a lot of people are afraid to ask for that.
well, you gotta try to pump it up as a good thing. Like for instance, when we are showing our product to our customers, if they're interested in buying, we could just offer them coupons, for referrals. Hey, you give me 20 referrals, we'll save you $5 off every referral, up to 20 referrals, or $10, or you can even give them, and we're talking about a couple $1,000 vacuum cleaner here, so saving them $100 or $200 off the price is 10% of the price. So if they give you a referral, save them an X amount of dollars, or give them more. Hey, you refer these type of people, we'll guess the next couple visits or whatever, we'll give you half off, or we can give you some money off, or just you gotta give them a reward for helping you get your business going more. I don't know.
Well, no, that makes complete sense. I know that you're putting you on the spot here, and that none of these people are out slinging chrome. But I believe that the process is relatively the same. And when somebody goes and asks for a referral, sometimes people feel a little intimidated or a little scared.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they wonder, should I give them something in return or whatnot? And it's as simple as coming out and asking, do you know anybody that could use my service? Now I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you ask referrals from?
Anybody that is interested in checking out our business, period. Anybody who walks through the door, anybody who we walk through their door. You just ask for, people are in similar situations to them. Hey, do you guys know anybody else who might be interested in our services?
So,
plain and simple.
We're not going to define that group by customers then. It's not just customers.
Oh, definitely not customers,
So you have an appointment with somebody and they don't buy.
Yeah.
Are you still asking them for a referral?
Well, of course, actually. We have, the exact statistics of our no sales. We have literally just about as high of a selling ratio off of no sale referrals than sold referrals. So somebody who did buy from us, a customer, our results are like literally neck and neck with, referrals from a customer to a no sale. So
wow, that's mine. I don't know if you guys got that. I just had to process that a little bit. This business is obviously they've got this process down. This is one of their keys to their growth is asking for referrals, and we know that the best form of marketing, period. I've said it a million times in internet marketing is word of mouth. WOM marketing. There's nothing better than that. We're not going to replicate it. No internet's going to do that, and we try to replicate that digitally on the internet with reviews and testimonials. And so, as you guys see here, what I'm trying to do is close that gap. That you've got it. You've heard the expression "take action." lift up your skirt, grab your balls, and take some action. And you've got to get out there and really just ask. And I myself, unquestionably, don't do it enough. And it could very easily be done a lot more and get in the door. It may not be just a good particular time for that. Now, I said today that there was a few things I wanted to cover. It really wasn't a lot that changed in this last week. There's still a lot that's going on in local in terms of the recent algorithm, Mobilegeddon. And so I just wanted to touch base on mobile rankings and how the mobile rankings are different than desktop. And now we're starting to see the biggest disconnect. So I would touch base on that in a moment. Also wanted to talk a little bit about how Google has dropped their, the map maker. In other words, it's not user defined to set up Google Maps. But the third discussion, again, I just wanted to remind, was the discussion of your list. And what I want to do now is bridge the gap between your list and referrals. You see the Kirby business, the vacuum cleaner business is, again, the same thing. It's the money's in your list. I don't care what business you're in, the money's in the list. You've heard it before. Local marketing source. We've got 20,000 people on our email list. We bring people in by creating content that's out there. We earn the right to their business, and then we sell them a membership service at a monthly fee. And we try to deliver the value that our members pay for that. That comes from our list. I sell services to chiropractors. I build a chiropractic list. I engage in chiropractors in different areas, and I build that list. When I was working with couriers, and I would spend $5,000 to go to an event, and I would bring my trade show booth and bring somebody else there, fly down for it, and I'd collect 50 business cards, and I'd come home. I'd spend $5,000 for 50 business cards. It would cost me $100 a business card. It actually, whatever the numbers were, it worked out to be that I would pay $227 for every business card that went into my fishbowl draw at those conventions. $227, because I knew that as I continued to build that list and communicate and engage with that list, that we would ultimately start to convert some of those. And it's even that list as well that Nick goes after, whether they're customers, previous customers, to look for new opportunities and ask for referrals. So when I say it's in your list, whether you are working for your clients or you are a local business owner, encourage that and drive that. All of our clients have email opt-ins. We don't necessarily have email services with us, because I know that I can upsell them email marketing services once they've got a list of, say, 150 patients or whatnot. Now, I could talk about list building. As a matter of fact, that might even be a good topic of conversation for a webinar one day. List building, list building for agencies, or list building for local businesses, or just list building in direct sales. But building that list of strong prospects, I think, should be the moral of today's story. I am just going to touch base quickly on these two update topics, and I think I got one more topic just to pick Nick's brain for, and then we'll open up the floor to any questions that we've got. I don't see anybody's got any questions. We got a pretty light load today of only about half of you that normally come on. But that's all right. And I just want to reiterate, folks, that we are getting if you notice, there was a link in the portal or in the private Facebook group that's got all the recorded calls, all the raw calls. So they are available for download, and we will be getting them up on the YouTube channels promptly. So Google has suspended Map Maker, essentially, if you recall, about 6 months ago. Well, who was it? They just, I just put this together right now. If you remember last week, you could go and, 2 weeks ago, you searched for the White House and you found that Snowden dude. you search for the White House, Google Maps will put a picture of the White House, and as you look through it, you can see certain, this is where the Oval Office is. And Edward Snowden had an office in the White House. And it hit mainstream media. So that's probably why Google has pulled all these edits on Google Maps. If you remember a year ago, or if you were part of the calls a year ago, we were disclosing a lot of black hat strategies on utilizing maps to influence local businesses. We never condoned it. I never did it for my clients, but it was an exercise that I did share with you and let you know about. So this doesn't come as any surprise. These companies, they always continue to struggle about amalgamating their databases and whatnot. The next thing I just wanted to touch base on was mobile rankings, the difference between desktop rankings and mobile phone rankings. And, this just gets back to all my discussions about mobile marketing, how it's bullshit. It's a bullshit discussion. It's not an entity in its own. And what we're seeing now is mobile results are very different than desktop results. Back in 2011, Search Engine Land claimed and said that we were going to see that there was going to be no disconnection between these two. They were going to be completely fused together. And I went off the record and I said, no, guys, it's not just a mobile marketing aspect. People are forgetting about the aspects of what about if you're watching your tablet and you're taking a dump? Okay, I know that's an extreme example. What about your television now and these smart televisions that we're able to control? What about display devices inside of vehicles? So it's not a channel of mobile marketing directly. It's a channel of marketing towards what consumers are doing with what type of display device. And if I've got a desktop computer, I can show a lot more on my monitor. Therefore, I can show a lot more on my desktop website than I can on my mobile website. And to me, it just, I don't know, it just kind of makes sense that, let's start to create content for the consumers that are going to consume it on the types of devices that they're on. In other words, if I'm a restaurant and I'm in downtown Chicago, and I'm in a touristy area, chances are 90% of my business is going to come to me that's going to be new business and be found on a phone. So my menus are going to be being able to show on a long device that people hold, up and down, as opposed to horizontally like a desktop computer. But if I'm sitting around and I'm searching how-to videos on YouTube, and what's a good example of a how-to? Well, cleaning carpets. There's how-to videos on cleaning carpets that are out there. You're in your home, and you're more than likely going to be sitting down to consume this information. Not to say that everybody would. I'm just trying to give examples here. So again, we're only going to see a bigger disconnect, and I'm also making the predictions. You guys can call me out if I'm wrong a year or two from now, but we're going to be having the exact same discussions for both display devices inside of vehicles and display devices inside our living rooms and bedrooms. I want to hear a little bit of feedback from anybody on the line before we move forward with any questions in regards to sales. Hey, Ralph. Hey, I'm here, Ralph says. Well, I'm here. Where's here for you? So I'm really glad that we had the opportunity for Nick to come in today, because I didn't have, as you can tell, when I prepared my call, didn't have a ton of content. My discussion was to discuss list building and the importance of lists. But there's Ralph. Okay, Ralph is asking to get on the horn here, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute him.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week, so if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for a free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.